watching Indigo Herbs TV. This is part 3 of a 5-part interview with David Ash, nutritionist and author of Love Your Liver. Enjoy. In your book, you talk quite a bit about fasting days.
Yes.
So talk to us about that. What is it about?
Well, this is the new rage that's come in. There was a Horizon program in September, which a lot of people have seen, which has had a big impact. And the presenter of this Horizon program, Michael Mosley, I think is his name, went out to America, and there are about 5 or 6 universities in America that have been doing completely independent research. And what they've found is that people who are on low-calorie diets tend to be physiologically almost like a different species to the rest of us, and they just don't get the degenerative diseases that we all get. They don't get the heart disease, they don't get the obesity, they're much healthier, they live longer, and so there seems to be a link between our total calorific intake and our state of health. And what I'm teaching is that some calories are safer than others. In other words, calories that come from fat and protein, in my book, are safer than calories that come from starch and sugar. Mm-hmm. You see. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like, we need to eat more of the Stone Age diet, where we've got less carbohydrates, more fat and protein. You see, the Atkins diet, for example, was promulgating it. It's a matter of balance. We've got to have carbohydrates, but we should take them in the right format. For example, raw food is much better for us than cooked food, because what cooking does is it expands the starch, making it easier to digest. Whereas raw food, it's raw starch, which is harder for the body to digest. And also raw food tends to be higher in fibre. The fibre gets between the glucose and the gut wall. It slows down the absorption of the glucose. It's just a physical process. So raw food is much better for us, simply because a lot of the calories are not absorbed, a lot of the calories are not digested, simply because it's full of fibre, and it's much more close to nature, much more primitive, as it were. So we don't have to be raw foodies, but we need to increase the total quantity of raw food in our diet.
Right.
Okay. So going back to the fasting, these universities, they've been experimenting with fasting, and what they've found is that when people fast, they become similar physiologically to people on low-calorie foods.
Right.
And what they're discovering is that if we give the body a break from eating periodically, then the body gets a rest from insulin.
Right.
You see. And so that there are all sorts of different fasts have been, people have different types of fasting, where maybe 48 hours once a month, or 1 day a week, just water. In the Jewish faith, they have Yom Kippur, which is, a 1-day fast where you don't even have water. And I love to keep Yom Kippur, as a fast. It's quite hard actually not drinking, right, you see, for a day.
Yeah, sure.
But 1 day a week with just water is a way of fasting, and that really rests the liver. It gives the liver a break, and it gives the pancreas a break. But it's actually quite hard to do. It's not that practical. So one of the universities shown on Horizon alternated fast days with feast days. So 1 day you fast, another day you feast. And what they found is it doesn't seem to matter what you eat on your feast days, so long as you keep your fast days. Okay. But then one of the universities discovered that if we have 2 days a week on low calories, so you don't have to cut your food out altogether,
right,
but you just reduce your food intake to about 600 calories, then that works as well. And this chap, Michael Mosley, said that realistically, he felt that is the most practical program of all.
Because you can actually still eat something.
You can still eat something. So this is what I started doing, what I've written about in my book. 2 days a week fasting on 600 calories. And I mean, I did the fast yesterday. What I do is I just have a cup of tea in the morning. Normally I have a biscuit and a cup of tea. Well, I skip the biscuit. You see.
Right, yeah.
And if I have anything, I just have grapefruit because that's actually good for the liver.
Right.
And then at lunchtime, I buy these Cliff Bars off the internet, and they're about 230 calories or something, but they're very low glycemic, and they are full of vitamins and minerals, and I really feel good on them. Right. And I eat this Cliff Bar and drink a pint of water. Right. And then I find I can get through the whole day to about 6 o'clock. Then I have a meal, and I usually have a raw food meal. I have salad and maybe smoked mackerel, or, a bit of fish and salad, but I don't have any carbohydrates.
Right.
So I give my body a rest from carbohydrates, and I eat more protein and salad. So it's like a raw food fast day, because a lot of raw food is as good as fasting.
I see.
You see, because it's a lot of salad and stuff like that. Now, a couple of weeks ago, the Daily Mail featured for a whole week. It was a major splash, on what they call the 2-day diet. Because for the last 12 years, a group in Manchester have been researching 2-day dieting.
Oh, right, interesting.
And quite independently, the American groups. And they've been fielding clinical trials involving thousands of people. So what they're putting out in the Daily Mail is the end result of some really serious clinical research. And they've actually discovered a way that people can eat 1,000 calories on their fast day rather than 600 calories. And they do that by increasing the protein and fat and decreasing the carbohydrates. So it's the same concept, which is 2 days a week of low or no carbohydrates.
I see.
Really reducing carbohydrate. I mean, sometimes what I'll do, I'll have some brown rice on my fast day. But again, it's low glycemic carbohydrate.
I see.
You see. So it's having 2 days where you reduce your calorific intake and you just have really good quality food.
So you don't need to stop eating.
No, you don't have to stop eating.
You need to stop eating carbohydrates.
That's right. Stop eating.
If you're going to have carbohydrates, have something like brown rice.
Brown rice, yeah.
Whole food.
That's right, whole food.
Processed.
Absolutely.
And that you're not going to digest really quickly.
Absolutely. So what you're doing 2 days a week, you're really disciplining your food intake. No crap food, no processed food, no junk food. Just high quality, small amounts of high quality, nutritious food.
Yeah.
It makes so much sense.
Which, if you're used to eating all sorts of things whenever you like, might take some discipline.
It really does. But what's fascinating, why I call my book Love Your Liver rather than Food Addiction, and that is because I'm also concerned about the alcohol problem.
Right.
And you see, there was a Panorama program. And Alistair Campbell, Tony Blair's right-hand man, was the compere of this Panorama program, and he gave an impassioned, appeal to people to look at the alcohol problem, because he's had an alcohol problem he had to battle with and overcome in order to fulfill the responsibility of working with Tony Blair. And what he said in that program, that Panorama program, if only we could control our alcohol intake for 2 days a week. And so it was several months later, last year, that I saw the 2-day fasting, and I put the two together. Of course, 2 days a week, no alcohol, no carbohydrate.
I see, hence the 2-day fast.
2-day fast, yeah.
Perfect.
But if I can just continue a little bit on this, with the Manchester group in the Daily Mail, featured in the Daily Mail, they then recommended what they call the Mediterranean diet. And they said for the rest of the week you should just eat really good, wholesome food. But I don't think that's practical. Because I think that you cannot tell the population you can never go to McDonald's again, you can never eat a chocolate bar again, you can never have a sugar... You can't do that.
No, it's not going to happen.
I like the idea of feasting and fasting. You know, I want to bring the whole thing together, not just the Manchester, not just this or that, but bring it all together. There was that study in America which said alternate your feast days and your fast days, and you can have what you like on your feast day. So what I'm saying is for every day you fast, you can give yourself a feast day. So if you fast 1 day a week, you feast 1 day a week. If you fast 2 days a week, you can have 2 feast days.
Right.
And on the feast days, you can eat and drink what you like.
Yeah, and I think that's very important because one of the other functions of food for us is pleasure. We do eat for pleasure, and I think that is very important.
And I'm really against food fadding. I'm against any form of food restriction. You know, I don't think vegetarianism is particularly healthy. You know, the Dalai Lama says eat meat for medicine. Too much meat is bad for you, but too little isn't good for you. Too much sugar is bad for you. It's balance, it's moderation in all things. So again, if we know we've got a feast day to look forward to, you know, you want to take someone out to dinner, you want to have a party, you know, you want to just enjoy, you know, that crusty bread, you know. So in other words, although you cut out bread, well, you don't cut it out altogether. You allow yourself the indulgence in bread. The occasional bread's not going to do you any harm, but you see it as a luxury. You see it as an indulgence. Chocolate is an indulgence. Alcohol is an indulgence. And it's just being aware of the addictive state that it's when we pig out on these things. So the reason we've got an epidemic of obesity and diabetes is because people are behaving like pigs and beginning to look like pigs. I mean, that's the reality. People are just gutting themselves on all this garbage, all this junk food, and they wonder why they're sick.
Brilliant. Well, that's great. So I can still have a nice slab of camembert on a crusty baguette with a glass of red wine, as long as I make sure I get a fast.
Just occasionally.
Excellent.
Yeah.